Soulless Dead, Brotherhood, Chapter 5, Cincinnati, Part 2. We woke the next morning groggy. Most of us were sore. That much movement after getting out of that trailer was quite a bit, and our little extracurricular activity didn't make any things easier. The stench of the dried and disgusting putrefied blood was still on the spikes, and still on the ground. My father and Trevor were doing their morning routine with a few of the soldiers, while the others slept and rested. They looked around, and they each had a cigarette, talking. I could hear them mumbling. My mother was wrapped around me. It was cool, it was crisp. I got up, rubbing my face, going over to one of the water jugs and getting a little styrofoam cup and filling it up. One of the soldiers got up after me and walked and grabbed one too, and then walked over towards the men. "We need to move," they said. "What's going on?" "We just got back from a patrol." "What do you mean?" "What's going on?" they said. A few of the soldiers came out of the bushes. "We need to move now. Now. Get everybody up." One of the fathers came over and started waking all the kids and a couple of the families up. The 3 families were up, including mine, and the soldiers were all up. "What's going on?" I asked Trevor. "We went on a patrol this morning, looking around. They got over the derail. I don't know what it was, maybe something in the night, maybe a car passing down the road. There's a massive herd coming. We counted at least 60. 60, some of them said. One of the dads covered the ears of the kids. "What do you mean? We need to get moving." We've got maybe 30, 40 minutes. If everybody pitches in, we can each carry something. 5 sticks for everybody. They're not heavy, they're actually fairly light." One of the soldiers claps his hands. "All right, everybody, start grabbing the poles out of the ground. They're disgusting. Don't worry, we washed them off this morning. We figured we might have to leave, so we didn't want to waste these. Come on." Everybody grabbed something. My mother came over and fashioned a little backpack. She took a bunch of string and wrapped it around the lawn chairs that I was going to be carrying and put them over my shoulder. "Is that easy to carry?" "The strings chafe a little bit," I told her. "We need to pitch in." Some of the soldiers picked up some of the wood logs and strung them up together and then placed the wood jugs through them, carrying them like a stuck hog in a Hawaiian luau. "All right, everybody's got something." Even some of the kids were carrying light stuff in their little backpacks. "All right, ready? Everybody good to go?" One of the soldiers came back out of the woods. "They're here. They're on their way. We need to leave immediately." Sweat on his face. Frightened in his eyes. We left. We trekked and we trekked through southern Cincinnati. We continued to go. We still need transportation. "What about the truck?" "It's too late. They're already there." "Dang it," a lot of the men would say. "Well, what do you expect us to do?" My dad spoke up. "We're gonna walk. We'll try. We'll find something. I don't know. Could we find maybe another truck?" "We could. Think at shipping yards, the train yards. There should be a semi parked there. There's always semis down there. I used to run shipments near a shipping yard around there. I don't know. We'll just have to check it out." We continued our way through southern Cincinnati. We kept walking for what felt like hours, and the sun was starting to beat down on us. The cool of the morning had left us, and now the heat of the day was on us. "Freak weather's been going on, and it isn't easy for us," my dad said. "Hey, look! The train yard!" as he pulled the map away. "That's where it is, just over that area, just over that small hill." We continued to walk for a little while, and eventually we could see it. It was almost like seeing an oasis of rust. Trains and cars, we could smell the oil that was coming off of the greased wheels. We made our way down the hill, down towards the train yard. We saw one semi, but it was broken down. One of the engines was completely shot as Trevor inspected it. "We can't use this. They must have been starting to repair it or something. I don't know, but it would take us too long." One of the soldiers was looking around. "Hey guys, I think we're being watched." Trevor, my dad, and my mom were talking. a few of the other men. "Hey, guys," one of the soldiers said. "Guys, I think we're being watched." "Guys!" He clapped his hands as loud as he could. They all looked at him. "What?" "We're busy, can't you see that?" "I think we're being watched." He pointed over to a train car with a man sitting on top of it with a gray ghillie suit on, blending in with the gray paint. He had a rifle trained right at us. "That's far enough," he called. His tone of voice was stern. "All right, everybody, you're surrounded. We don't want any trouble. What's going on here? Just drop your goods and go." Trevor got angry, gritting his teeth. "We're not about to lose our stuff. We've lost everything. We're just trying to get through here, but we can't afford to feed y'all." My dad said, "Trevor, relax," as he raised his hands up. "We don't want any trouble. I'm Dr. James Whitman. I'm from New York. I know some things." "Everybody knows something," the rifleman said, continuing to point his gun at us. "What's it worth, Doctor? What do you know?" You have to shoot him in the head." "Yeah, figured that out pretty quick," he said, snarlily. He hissed at us. "What are you guys doing in our train yard?" Trevor got mad again. "Your train yard? I'm sorry. Since when do you have a sign or a flag or a kingdom going on here? You know what's going on? We don't have time for factions." Again, my dad told him to relax. "We don't want any trouble. We're just trying to pass through. We don't have a lot of supplies and we've got children with us." "Tough shit," he said. "We all got kids. I got a few of them around here." "Well, do you know of a way we can get through here safely? Maybe we could trade something." "You ain't got nothing we want. At least nothing worth trading. Now drop your stuff." One of the soldiers raised his hand. "Please. We're just trying to get by." He trained his rifle at the soldier and said, "You back down. One at a time." He backed off. "You're surrounded right now. Jerry, Jack, come on around." Two men came out from the other rail cars, rifles trained at us. I was legitimately scared. My knees were shaking. My teeth were chattering. My mother was holding me. One of them, Jerry, apparently, spoke up. "Dennis, this isn't right. We need to just let these folks go. They don't have a lot." The man, now known as Dennis, sitting on top of the rail car. "Quiet your noise. Jack, grab the stuff. Jerry, I'll have a word with you later. Now, well, take us with you. We don't know if we can trust you," as he stood up and began to climb down the rail car. "We can't trust anybody. The last people that said trust us, they stabbed my cousin. He bled out in less than an hour. It was a painful death. So what makes you think we can trust you?" "Dennis," my dad said as he approached him, "if I can call you that." Dennis, casing him out, seeing what he was worth. "It's tough all around. We've all lost something. We've all had to do things we don't want to do this early on. Maybe we can help each other. I'm a doctor. Trevor here's a great mechanic. These men are trained soldiers. I'm sure that we have something to offer." "Fine. Boys," he pointed at the two men, "let's take them to where we go. Take them home. If you have any guns, relinquish them now. If you're coming with us, you're playing by our rules. That's fair enough." "Now hold on a minute," Trevor said. "That's fair enough," as he gritted his teeth at Trevor. Reluctantly, Trevor threw his gun on the ground. My mother took hers out of her purse. My father dropped his on the ground, as did the soldiers. "These pikes look bloody," as he ran his hand against the long wooden poles. "You boys been fighting with them?" "They're just defensive tools. They're light, they're cheap, and easy to make. We had a rough night last night." "So is everybody. Come on." We walked for a while through the train yard, zigzagging through train cars that weren't quite attached. "Look at all these fuel tankers. They're all tapped. They're empty. They're coming through here to go back to some shipping plants to the south to get filled up with fuel. We've already checked most of them. A few of them have some, but most of it's unprocessed crude. You gotta be kidding me. One of the men said. Well, do you have any kind of vehicle, like a semi? No semis, and we're not going into upper Cincinnati. We hear some lunatics actually let out a lot of animals from the zoo. 2 nights ago, we came into contact with a group of tigers. Had to put them down. Mauled 3 of our boys. Chewed their faces off, and it was a nasty scene all around. We stuck them with some spears and shot a couple of them with my .357. Dropped them like flies, but it was a gruesome scene all around. Most of the women still haven't gotten over it. I don't think anybody has. Who would want to, my mom said. We continued to walk, and eventually we saw a small ring. We could see tires piled up around walls with sticks pushing them together. They had somehow pushed cars in the way so that they could have a small makeshift wall on 2 sides and made walls out of corrugated steel and whatever they could find. This has been our home for a while. One of these shipping containers had some food in it. Probably going to a grocery store. We ate up a lot of the produce, and a lot of the canned goods are still good, but we don't have much fresh food anymore. We ate it up quick and did what we could with it. You guys have a right fine village going on here. Not really. A lot of things went to pot in a lot of these shipping containers when things started happening. Pandemic started, martial law happened. A lot of these containers were forgotten early on, a couple weeks ago. Some of them were still refrigerated, and some of them were just left here, and so we eventually found them after coming down here. Originally, we were going to go take the highway, but it got congested, and a lot of those dead attacked everybody. We choked back to this area, and, well, we've been here ever since trying to defend it, keeping our heads down, but occasionally some people will wander in here, or maybe even the dead will come here and get attracted to the sound of our rumpus whenever we get into conflict with people. Half the time it doesn't end as pretty as what we had back there. How long have you been here? How many people are here? I'd say about 6 folks, including me and these 2 fellas you've already met. So roughly 9 people. We've been surviving pretty good. Most people don't want to come here diplomatically, or whatever you would call it. They don't come over here wanting to join our cause or want to survive with us. They want to take what we got and stick us through. Half the time we'll have to shoot first and ask questions later. It's made us all paranoid, and we've all done things we don't want to. My dad shook his head. Same here. My name's James. He raised his hand towards him. Dennis looks at him. Dennis. Nice to meet you. I actually used to work here in the train yard a few years back, so I figured we'd find something here. I didn't know what we were going to find, but it'd be a tool, some kind of thing, I don't know. I looked around and was kicking some rocks. Hey, Dad, I thought. Hey, Dad. What, son? He looked over at me. Hey, well, what about the trains? Dennis looked at him, one eye closed, squinting at him. You're kidding me. The trains? Well, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Trevor got up. Well, why not? No one's going to be using the railways. No one's going to think of that. I mean, they're pretty low maintenance as it is. I mean, I'd like to see a zombie try and stop one of those dang things. They're huge. Once you get them going, and they're fuel efficient. 100 miles a gallon. I'm sure a lot of these are half full or somewhat full. A few of the other people that were with Dennis's party began to stand up. You know, that's not a half bad idea. Why didn't we think of that? Dennis looks around. That's crazy. We'd have to start the switches. We'd have to we'd have to go somewhere. Going through Cincinnati is suicide. My dad squatted down. We don't have much of a choice, but we can get a car attached. Yeah, we could do that. A lot of other people began to agree. Some of the mothers began to stand up and say, that's a pretty good idea. Way to go, Danny, one of the soldiers said as he ran his head through my hair, frazzling it. This is a good idea. It's a suicidal idea, said Dennis. Those things are big and they're loud. So what? If we get up inside the train, it's like a fortress. Get a couple people in the rail car, fill up the tanks, we could go as far as Kansas. Oh, Kansas? Dennis laughed. No, why would we go to Kansas? Well, think about it. It's a flyover state. There's military bases there. There's a military base just about in every state. That doesn't give us a reason. The CDC has a setup there. They might have a cure. They might have a bastion of hope. Something. A fortress. I mean, McConnell's there. They got plenty of planes with Boeing. Cessna and all those other places. It's got to be worth it. You realize how far that is? I realize how far that is, my dad said. Trevor, again, intercedes. I think it's a good idea. Trains aren't that difficult to drive. My Uncle Charlie was one. I rode with him one time in a train yard just when I was a kid. They're not that complicated. They are sophisticated tools. They're not like the old ones you grew up with. Hey, he said, getting up towards him. I'm just saying, Dad, it would work. Your boy's got a head on his shoulders, but it would be suicide. We'd have to get so much fuel. Well, have you even checked any of the locomotives? Maybe they've already got a full tank. Maybe they've got enough. Fine. Dennis, a few of the men and all the others grabbed their guns. You can have these back, they said. But if something bad happens, I'll kill you. I'm keeping these people safe. If that train, when we start up, gets some of my people eaten, or attracts the wrong people, it's your ass. My dad shook his head and said, fine. Let's shake hands on it, he said then. Very well. They shook hands and we began to look around. We found one of the small locomotives, one of the ones they used to tow around. We looked at it, looked it over. This one's pretty simple, said Trevor. There's a manual here, too. I can read this, and we can stay inside this one for the night. I'll read up on it. It shouldn't be that hard. For a moment there, our hosts were getting up. Hey, this ain't going to be too bad. I could do this. Trevor stayed inside the cab as we inspected the gas tanks. We kicked him. It made a fluid sound like kicking a drum full of water. They sound pretty full. Well, we're not going to know until we open the gas can, my dad said, smiling. They opened it and it smelled thick of diesel. He took a dipstick that he found on the ground, put it in there. How's a stick going to help us figure it out? Well, we'll check by moisture, he told me. My dad placed the stick in there. He held it there for a moment and then picked it up. Now the canister is exactly around 2.5 feet tall. Now, if it's partially empty, it'll come up only midway, but if it's full, it'll be soaked. As we began to pull it up, we could see that it was completely soaked almost to the tip. We looked at each other, smiling and laughing a little bit. Dennis walked over with gun in hand. What's going on over here? This tow train. It's almost completely full. You gotta be kidding me. Did you check the other side? Not yet. Look! He showed the stick to him. Dennis smirks and spits on the ground. You gotta be kidding me. We might actually be able to pull off this little shit show you got going on. Good thinking, kid. They go over the side, conversing. I stayed there, smiling, finally contributing a little bit. Awesome. I came over to the other side and said, that one's good to go. Trevor came out. Okay, I've pretty much read what I need to know. GPS stuff, the horn stuff, that's not really necessary. I know how to start it. I know how to get the throttle going. It's real simple, real basic on these older models. The fuel's full, I suppose? He was hoping for the best. My dad looks up at him. We're good to go. Ha ha, damn. He slaps his hat against his knee. We're ready to go. We backed the train up as we started, a large hum noise. We held our heads down, gritting our teeth, hoping that nobody could see us. We backed the train up to a small rail car, and had all the families and all the supplies packed into it. We were finally going to be getting out of Cincinnati. We were heading to our place, and we were going to be safe. We all piled into it and waited it till the night. The train was still going, and we collected a lot of fuel from the other trains into canisters. We wheeled a large tank that had wheels over there, struggling to push it as it was heavy. Alright, what are we going to do with all this? We'll fill all the way to the brim. We'll get some gas tanks. Those old water jugs we had that were left over that we emptied out, we'll put some in there. Yeah, but it won't touch it. It's better than nothing. We placed as much fuel into as many canisters as we could find, and we placed it into the back of the train car. We piled in there and slid the door shut. It's going to be just like before. You guys will be able to breathe a lot more. These wooden slats, there's a lot more room between. You're going to get a lot more airflow. Stay bundled up. You guys will get cold a lot quicker, too. No bathroom breaks, so don't be sloshing around. We shouldn't be seeing too many bumps. We're going to get through this. Everybody was laughing and smiling. We're going to be alright. We're going to be alright. We piled into the train, and the train began to lurch. The clank of the metal couplings that held them together jerked forward. The train hummed and roared as it began to pull forward. Dennis got out off the front of the train and switched the bar over. We were going to head through the southern part of Cincinnati and start heading towards Kansas. It's going to be a long trip, he yelled. We might have to go through St. Louis and Kansas City. We'll figure something out. We'll go. We'll just keep going. I sat next to my mom. She covered us with a blanket. She was smiling. It was good. I could see Dennis climb up onto the train's front car and go through the front door. We got up to a good speed, and we could hear the gentle coast of the tracks, the clanks. It was almost as if we were those hobos in those old movies that would stay on the train cars. Endless adventure, they would say. Not gonna lie, I felt like the coolest kid on the planet. I was actually able to come up with a good idea. Things are looking up. We'll finally be in Kansas and we'll be safe. CDC will find a cure and we'll be okay. Things are starting to look up. Thank God.